Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Okay, there we go. Just give it one more minute for some people to sign on. Good afternoon and welcome everybody to today's lunch break with the Rabbi. Today is Tuesday, January 5th, 2021. It is the 21st day of Teves, and we continue our discussion in the book of Exodus. So, what's Judaism's fascination with donkeys? There was once this young fellow. He walked into a synagogue and he asked the rabbi, he said, I'd like to donate a new wing in honor of my donkey who just recently died. The rabbi looked at it as if the guy fell off the wall. He says, you're going to donate a wing in honor of your donkey? So he says, listen, not only a wing, I want the whole section of the synagogue, $150,000. And so he says, what about $1 million? So he says, you know what? I'll go across the street to the Reform Temple to see what they have to say. All of a sudden, the rabbi says, 1 second, you didn't say your donkey was Jewish. Look in this week's Torah reading. If you look in general about a donkey is not considered the most prime animal. In fact, the commentators tell us that when Adam gave the name to a donkey, he gave a name to the donkey because since the donkey was, so to speak, the foolish of all animals, and all a donkey is good for is schlepping. And therefore, traditionally, you've seen that donkeys in the time of old was used as the schlepper, was the one to carry all the loads, and everything was put on the donkey. Still in all, it seems like that Judaism has some type of fascination with donkeys. Starting all the way back with Abraham, going to Mount Moriah when he was bringing his son as a sacrifice. What did he take with him? The donkey was schlepping the wood, the fire, and everything else that was necessary. In this week's Torah reading, Moses and his family are on their way to Egypt. What are they using for the method of transport? Is a donkey. In the time of the coming of Moshiach, we find as well, that Moshiach will come riding on the donkey. Interesting to note, the three differences that you have from Abraham to Moses to the time of the coming of Moshiach. Abraham utilized the donkey for his tools, like the wood, the fire, and etc. Moses used the donkey for his family, while Moshiach, it says that he himself will be riding on the donkey. But what is it about a donkey that all of a sudden that Judaism talks about it, that Abraham's going to use the donkey, Moses used the donkey, and that Mashiach is going to use the donkey? In fact, the Talmud tells us that during the time of the Second Temple, there was a king by the name of Ptolemy who decided that one of the terrible decrees that he did against the Jewish people was to get 70 scholars, put them in a different room, and all of them have to translate the Torah. And he wanted to prove that, so to speak, that the Torah wasn't authentic because you'll see 70 different translations. Miraculously, at that time, the Talmud describes that they all made the same translation. Not only the same translation, but he wanted, so to speak, a literal translation, which is almost impossible to do of the Holy Torah. And they all made, so to speak, the same exact changes in the words of the Torah, and it was exactly accurate. One of those changes was concerning when Moses' family was riding on a donkey. He made it, it said that they should ride on something that people generally ride on. Because a donkey is not considered a class, an elegant animal that people would ride on. Mules, horses, camels, as we even find by Eliezer when he went to greet Rebecca, he used camels. What's with the donkeys all of a sudden? Abraham's donkey and Moses' donkey and Mashiach's donkey. To make the question even more probable is that there's even one commentary that says that the donkey is exactly the same donkey. That the same donkey that Abraham used, Moses used, and Mashiach is going to use. That means that this donkey that is about to come in the time of the coming of Mashiach is about 3,500 years old. So what is it about the donkeys? Yes, we found some type of correlation that we have with the donkey, but what is it? Why this fascination with the donkey? So if we look back at the story of Moses, what's going on over here? Moses, as we read in today's Torah reading, is wandering. He ran away from the land of Egypt because since his life was in danger. He ended up in the city of Midian, marries Zipporah, and now he's heading back down to Egypt. On the way, he comes to the burning bush. The bush that's not really burning. And God tells him, go take the Jewish people out of Egypt. Moses comes along and says, God, you know what? Go find somebody else to do your dirty work. You put the people in Egypt, go get them out. I'm not going to be the one to go and tell them to go out of Egypt. Why should I be the one? Shlach no bi'atishlach, find somebody else to do it. And in fact, the commentators explain that he's not just saying find somebody else. Moses says, listen here. When the time of the end of days comes and the time of the coming of Mashiach, you're going to ask somebody else to take the Jewish people out of the final exile to the final redemption. Let him do it now. Why me? Moses says. And there's a debate back and forth, and God gets upset at him. Until finally God agrees that Aaron will be a spokesman and he will go together. And that's when they go ride on the donkey. And he takes his family and he sends his family back home. But we see something here. Back and forth. God is going back with Moses. Go, don't go, don't go. But what's going on with the donkey? What does it have to do with the donkey? Why does the Torah have to even mention that he rode his family back on a donkey? Why are we referring to this donkey? There's a story told about a great rabbi about 150 years ago. His name was the Slonim Rebbe. His name was Rabbi Avram Weinberg. Walked in one early morning on the Sukkot holiday into the synagogue. And he sees an aura of light coming from the synagogue. He walks inside and he sees a lonely soldier in the Tsar's army sitting in a corner praying. Barely even knows the words of Hebrew. He asks him, what did you do so special that this aura of light is coming from you? The soldier looks at the rabbi and says, let me tell you. Today is the festival of Sukkot. I was thinking to myself, I'm a soldier in the Tsar's army, but I want to be able to do and celebrate the holiday. So I therefore decided, when the commander goes away, I grabbed a piece of bread, ran to the nearby village where there was a sukkah, made the kiddush, ate the piece of bread, so I should be able to celebrate Sukkot. The rabbi saw this and he says, wow, amazing. Risked his life to be able to do the mitzvah of eating in a sukkah. God gave every single one of us a body and a soul fused together. And over here he gives us a monumental task. Take that body and make it special. Take that body and uplift it. Give it a spiritual dose of energy. Don't beat the body. Uplift the body. Strengthen the body. Make the body a conduit to serve God. Your body is not your enemy. Materialism is not your enemy. It's what you have to uplift, to change, and utilize and assist to serve God. And here the Baal Shem Tov comes along and teaches us a fascinating idea of what it means to have a donkey. I'm sure you've heard of the great sculptress Jack Lipschitz. Once came to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. In fact, his wife then came later on. And the Rebbe explained to him that every single person that has a talent, has a quality, has to utilize it to be able to serve God and to bring people closer to the recognition of what godliness is, making this world a great place. And over here is what the Torah is telling us, the uniqueness about the donkey. The donkey refers to not only a physical donkey, but the physical life of every single one of us. The coarseness, the foolishness, the lack of spirituality that may exist in whatever parcel of our body it may be. The donkey over here, the Torah tells us, is look at Abraham, look at Moses, look at Mashiach. God was telling Moses, you see, when Abraham was told to do something, he didn't hesitate. He took his donkey, put the wood, the fire, and immediately went and followed what God had to say. He wasn't debating. He didn't say, go get somebody else to do it. He recognized and identified that took the donkey, which the donkey is symbolic of materialism. In fact, the word in Hebrew, donkey, means emptiness, seemingly nothing, materialism, coarseness, and he used it to serve God without hesitation. He said, Moses, this is the key ingredient to getting the Jewish people out of Egypt. And Moses followed, eventually putting his wife and children on the donkey, riding them, showing again, using the coarseness of materialism to get the Jewish people out of Egypt. And then when Mashiach comes, he himself will be riding on the donkey, showing a fully developed materialistic world where the donkey itself has now become the conduit of spirituality, bringing the ultimate salvation. The Baal Shem Tov teaches us, this donkey is not just merely a donkey. The donkey is just an animal which depicts the concept of coarseness, materialism, and most importantly, our body. The donkey is symbolic of our bodies. And the question that God asks every single one of us, what are you using your body for? What are you doing with that body? What are you subjugating that body to? Materialistic coarseness or refinement and spirituality? I have given you a body and I have given you a soul. Allow the two to fuse. Allow the two to come together in unison. Take that donkey. Start with Abraham, maybe using it as a tool to be able to do spiritual and good things, connecting to God. Go a step further like Moses, putting your family on it, getting it all involved. And finally, like Mashiach, making the donkey, making your body the actual tool and conduit for spirituality and making this world a place for God. Judaism teaches us, yes, it's all about the donkey. It's all about taking the coarseness in the world and refining it. Thank you for joining me today. Lunch Break with the Rabbi. Hope to see you again tomorrow at 1 p.m. God bless you in doing our job, in taking that donkey, riding it all the way through, making this world a godly place. All the best and have a wonderful day.